Assalamu alaikum, hey, and welcome to the Muslim Life Coach Institute podcast. This is Abdul Shahid, master coach, trainer, and therapist, and this is where I help you to coach yourself and your clients on how to overcome anxiety, fear, and all of the emotional baggage that keeps so many of us stuck in our minds, our lives, and our relationships. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. Hey guys, welcome back to this week's episode of the Muslim Life Coach Institute podcast, where we're going to be focusing on how you create the things you want in your life, even when you have certain obstacles or things in your life that are holding you back, and that you feel like sometimes you get stuck and you're wondering, why does it keep happening? No matter how hard you work, no matter how diligently you strive to overcome your obstacles. And I want to talk to you about some of the things that you and I, successful people, you are, like, I believe in the core of your being, like, you are successful. And I know this because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about this, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas. Like, this is a verse that actually, it's always at the forefront of my mind because it tells us about, who we are, what we're doing, and what we're about to create in this world, in the, that's going to serve us in the akhirah, in the dunya, in, all, the whole trajectory of your life. And so I want you to understand that, I believe that you and I, regardless of, what obstacles we have, we can actually overcome them. But the question is, what holds us back? What holds us back? And what is it that we need to do to actually get beyond this and take our lives to the next step? And one of the core things that we all know is that it is, it's not just the obstacles around you. And in fact, it's not even the obstacles around you. It's not even all of the circumstances that you find yourself in and, all of the things you don't like about your life. Because mostly, if you look at your life without all of the emotions, you're going to find that you love so many things in your life. You look at your career, your achievements, you look at your family, your children, your siblings, your parents, and how you've been living your life, and you can totally be in love with your life. However, when we get stuck in a situation, very often the mind gets derailed. And in that derailment, like, what happens is that we're left feeling insecure, we're left feeling emotions that we don't even recognize. Sometimes we don't even think we're feeling a thing. But what we know is that, you call it an off mood, or you call it, feeling agitated or frustrated or confused. Sometimes we call it confusion because we don't like what we're in. We don't even want to look at it, and we want to distract ourselves. So we run to more work or more activities, more productivity. And when you get so caught up in all of that, what happens is actually you lose the path, and you do land in confusion in the end. And here's the thing, I want to talk about how you know your direction, how you get your direction, and how you actually instill in yourself inevitability factor. What's going to make your results, your outcome, your life inevitable? And when we're talking about inevitable, like inevitable success, and we're not talking about just short-term success, we're talking about long-term success. So I want to share with you in this podcast exactly what steps you should be taking, where you should put your focus so that you actually make your life and the results that you want in your life inevitable, regardless of whether it's in your relationships, in your mental health, in your wealth, your whatever you're focused on. And look, we focus on lots of different areas of our lives, but we often find that no matter how much we focus on it, like, we still get derailed. So here's what we're going to do. Like, here's what you and I need to focus on in the next, at least for the next 30 days of your life, right? You got to focus on this for at least the next 30 days of your life. And if you have been following the Million Muslim Minds transformation program, you're going to know exactly a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about here. But this is like, more than that. But if you haven't gone over that, then you really want to bolster your foundation and you want to go and watch it. It's a free program. Go to the MuslimLifeCoachInstitute.org and sign up for the program. And you're going to get to go over it, and it's going to impact your life. So anyway, let's get back to what we're talking about here. the inevitability factor in your life, to make your life inevitable in the success that you want, in whichever area of your life you're looking at, be it your business, your career, your health, your wealth, and wealth. Listen, when I talk about wealth, I'm talking about holistically wealth, like rizq. Rizq is everything that sustains your life. So let's just redefine that, right? So this is what we're talking about. Now, if the first thing is you need direction. Defining a clear pathway is dependent upon you actually having a couple of factors. Number one, you need to actually define where it is that you're headed. You absolutely need to know where you're going, because if you don't make a decision on this, then you're forever going to be wandering through life. And this is what happens to most of us. And so we get super productive and super busy and take on lots and lots of things. And from the outside, we look highly successful. You look at your life and everyone else is telling you like, oh, you're so amazing because you do so many things and you achieve so much. But you on the inside, you don't feel like you're getting what you want. And that's often because we take on so many things and we don't really have a direction. Right? So the first thing that you need to do is you need to actually define what success is for you, right? Whatever area of your life you're looking at, right? Define what success is for you. That's the first thing that you need to do. Now, when you know what that is, then you need a clear pathway to that success. It's so important. Like knowing what it is and then knowing a clear pathway to it. It is so important. A part of that pathway is that you're going to need some trust and not a lack of it. And the reason I say this is often what we do is that we don't trust ourselves. We don't say it, but without saying it, we don't trust Allah. And you know this because you're constantly feeling insecure. But whereas when you trust Allah, then, and this is not something to go beating yourself up over, but this is something to actually start working on when you recognize this. When we don't trust Allah and you're feeling insecure constantly, then what that means is that we need to actually focus on that spiritual factor. And this is what we do in the Nafs transformation program. This is what the coach certification program is about. This is what all of my programs are about. The Million Muslim Minds program, this is all about that. So the spirituality factor is imperative in every element of success that you want in life, like no matter what it is, right? So the thing is, you want to, again, let's go back. You want to define like what that success is, what it is, where it is, how it is, like define it. You want to define a clear path to that. And once you know that, then you need to actually go to work in managing the nafs, managing the self, all the way to that ultimate goal that you want. But it's not sufficient that you're forever miserable all the way there. You actually want to have a great journey all the way there. And the way that I want you to understand this is that you are on a pathway, and the pathway is like the rainbow, right? There's the honey pot or the gold pot or whatever it is that you put at the end of the rainbow, but your pathway is the rainbow. You're not going to have a miserable time all the way there. The rainbow is full of color, full of life, and you're going to enjoy it all the way there. So think about it like that, right? This is how you got to do it. It's a very clear, distinct pathway. You know what it is because you've defined it. So having done that, then the next thing that you need is that you need to have the toolkit to support that journey, right? Now, if you imagine you're going on a journey, and throughout that entire journey, what you're going to need is a whole bunch of stuff that you're going to need. Like if we were to travel somewhere, we would take with us, a change of clothing and food and, nourishment of whatever sort. You take stuff for the kids and, stuff for the journey. Like you're not taking it for the end because that's your destination, but you're taking it for the journey. So you need a toolkit for that journey, right? And that toolkit, these are the tools that will support your journey. It will support your every step all the way to the end, destination. And it is so imperative to have this. When you don't have your tools, then wherever you are, you feel like directionless. Whenever you get stuck, whenever you get obstacles, you don't know what to do. And this is what
the science of the Nafs, this is what this is all about. It is the toolkit for life, right? And of course it is, because it's based on the Quran and Sunnah. And of course, revelation was meant for what? It was meant to give you the tools for life. So this is what we do. And so whenever you come up against your inevitable steps on your journey, then you're going to have a bunch of things that are going to, step in your way, that are going to go wrong. And it's okay. That's pretty normal. But most of us, we don't expect that, because our toolkit doesn't have the tools to help us to actually make that journey. And then what we do is that, we start to self-sabotage. We start to, get all upset. We start to freak out and, mess up our relationships and mess up, our health and, our wealth and, everything that we look at. We start to actually allow that internal disarray to actually become external and actually impact our lives. And so it's really, really important that you go back to like the ultimate, which is to manage your heart and to manage your intellectual mind. Those two things, they're distinctly different, but they're intricately connected. And you've got to learn how to manage both of these. So here's one of the things that always happens to most people, is that when you're on your journey, like you'll get stuck with fear. You'll get stuck with fear. And the fear of staying stuck is one of the biggest reasons why people stay stuck. And I want you to just really understand that. The fear of staying stuck is the reason and the obstacle for why people stay stuck. And so you got to recognize that, and you need to use the tools. And I'm talking to you coaches and therapists, like those of you who have trained in the science of the Nafs. You're using these very tools to overcome every fear, to overcome every feeling of being stuck. And folk, like if you've been following this podcast, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because these are the very tools that I talk to you about on a regular. And so you want to embrace them, you want to use them, and you want to empower yourself to actually overcome all of your fear, all of your feeling stuck, all of the self-sabotage behavior. You want to manage yourself all the way for your journey, because when you do that, then it means that you're actually going to make the right decisions, you're going to head the right, you're going to take the right actions, and it's going to lead you to the end result that you want, to the, it's going to lead you to the place that you're headed towards. But here's what people do. People actually convince themselves that they're stuck. They convince themselves that the fear is, warranted, or it's, it's going to actually happen. And they future forecast with this catastrophic future that they don't want to live. And because they do that, they frighten the hell out of themselves and actually send themselves back. And instead of taking steps forwards, what we do is we actually take steps backwards. So this is what happens, and this is why it's so imperative that you have your tools. And the tools, the tools are what? What are the tools? I mean, look, there are many tools in the science of the Nafs, but the foundation of all of these tools is that the spirituality, that spiritual connection. This will lead to an emotional calm that prevails in your life, right? The psychological, which is your mind. You got to focus on the psychological, because if you don't, then your experience of life is going to be all over the place. It's you're going to be blown around like the wind. And what you need is your mind to be under your command and not the other way around. Right? So in the science of the Nafs, we focus on spirituality, we focus on psychology, so that your mind is under your command and not the other way around. Right? And then, of course, the physiological, like the material. So you determine your outcome. You determine your outcome in life, and then you go to work with a clear path that we've already spoken about to take you to your end results. And of course, you need along the way sabrun jamil, right? Like this beautiful patience. And patience, there's different ways we can look at this. And I want you to just frame this in your mind as something that you're going to do. It's an action. It's not just something that happens to you. It's not something that comes to you. It's something that you do. And that's why, like throughout the Quran and Sunnah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through revelation teaches us that this is something that you do. It's an action. It's something that we pursue. It's not something that just happens to us. So that means you're going to focus on restraining yourself where you need to, and you're going to focus on pursuing where you need to. And it's very, very important that this type of patience that we're talking about, this is the type of patience that actually keeps you on the path of creating the life that you need and you want. And in the midst of that, you're always going to have the rope of Allah to hold on to. That's going to give you the security all the way through it. That's going to give you your replenishment, all of the good stuff that comes to us. You're going to get it through that. And if you pursue this and you have your ultimate, you've got your destination, you've got your goals, you've got your actual life that you're headed towards, that destination of yours, and you have a very clear path on the way there, then you're going to make that happen, right? So the future is bright if you want it to be. So let me repeat that. Your future is bright if you want it to be, but it will be dark if you don't purposely want it, right? You have to determine your life. You have to determine how that trajectory is. And I want to give you a couple of questions. I want to just leave you on a couple of questions to really think about. That's going to help you to clear your mind up about all of this stuff that we're talking about, right? Now, first of all, I want you to ask yourself, what is the end goal that I want? What is the end goal that I want? And what does that destination look like in my mind? That destination, wherever I'm headed, that end goal, whatever that's, whatever your destination is, whatever your, the ultimate end goal is that you want in your life. And what we're talking about is not just long-term, we're talking about long-term and short-term. So we want to hit two birds with one stone. So when we're planning this, what we want to clearly define what that's going to look like, how that's going to be, and I want you to ask yourself and spend some time thinking about this, because it's going to really help you to clear out all of the junk that prevents us from making this happen. Like all of the junk, and most of that junk is actually internal. Like a lot of fears, lots of different stuff that goes on inside of us. But you need to be clear on this, right? Where is that? What is that? How is that? Like, think it through. Like, this requires you to put some thought into it. And that means that you're going to have to put your heart and the intellectual mind, if you like. And the heart is the most, it's the driver of your life. But the intellectual capacity that you have, you're going to have to use both of these to actually create the results that you want in your mind before it even happens, right? So that's what I want you to do. Like, be very clear, ask yourself the question. Now, the second question you got to ask is, what tools do I need? Tools, what are the things that I need to make that journey? To make my life easier, to make the path much smoother, and what are the tools that I need to harness, that I need to master to put to work everything that I've actually decided on, and to create the day-to-day momentum that will take me there. Now, the tools are not for you for when you get there. When you're there, right? But the tools are there to actually help you to go from here to there, right? What are those tools, right? And really, you need to put thought into this. But if you've been following the Million Muslim Minds free program, then you know exactly the tools that you need. The Nafs transformation is based on exactly that. That's exactly what we tool up on. Saying, if you have not done that, folk, you really want to go, and it's a free program. It's going to help you to tool up and understand every aspect of your life to help you to get to that place. And we're talking about in the next 12 months. We're not talking about you're going to wait for the next 20 years. Like, you want to start doing it now, because what we want is that we want to create day-to-day momentum in your life that takes you to the very destination that you've decided upon. So the third thing that I want you to ask yourself, and this is crucial, you need to ask yourself, who am I going to become today, such that I become the person that traverses this path and gets to the destination that I've decided upon? Like, whatever that goal is, whatever that place is, right? Who am I going to become today? You need to actually decide upon that. You got to put some thought into it. And the most powerful thing is, you're going to harness all of your energy, all of your mind, your time, your wealth. Like, you're going to have to put everything into it, because this is your life. This is who you are becoming, right? So who am I going to become? And that person, the one that you're going to become, is the one that's going to take this path all the way there. And here's a suggestion. So look, a lot of people, they when they think about achieving their goals, achieving their dreams, they think no pain, no gain. And what I want to tell you is that, like, who on earth wants, to gain, experience extreme pain? No one does, right? But when we tell ourselves that no pain, no gain, it means that we're forever, experiencing this pain, and the pain actually prevents you from taking the path. So what I want you to do is I want you to decide on what is the journey that I'm going to make that's actually going to be enjoyable. I'm going to have fun on the journey. I'm actually going to enjoy my journey. I'm going to love my life, and I'm going to do it every day. I'm not going to enjoy it when I get to the end. I'm going to enjoy the path the whole way. That's what I want you to think about, right? And that's what we want. We want you to create a pathway that's clear, that reaches the destination that you want, but you enjoy the path just as much as you enjoy the destination, right? It's very, very important. So the last thing I want you to ask yourself is, have I harnessed the power of my spiritual, emotional connections? Because that is what helps me to actually avoid self-sabotage, to avoid, procrastination, to avoid, all this perfectionism that keeps us from the things that we want. Have we actually harnessed? Have you harnessed this? And you really have to, like, take this into account, because this is the most important thing, like, as you're making that journey. And you got to ask yourself, am I going to be deliberate about this every single day? Am I deliberate about this now? So these 4 questions are imperative. You want to go over this. You want to understand this. You want to put time into this. And listen, folks, you can create the life that you want, the changes that you want, and you will go to actually creating all of those things that you want if you are willing to actually do the work. So doing the work means doing the work in your mind. Doing the work means actually tooling up, mastering the tools that help you get the results that you want. And this is really and truly the most important thing. Like, I've spent my entire life, like, tooling myself up, like, going through this journey, understanding, everything, the whole, like, everything I've talked to you about here. It is all about the journey that you make day to day, because you don't want to set yourself up for a miserable journey just so that you can achieve a goal. Like, you'll get to that goal, you'll achieve it, but you'll actually feel no joy in the process. So what you want to do is you want to actually set yourself up to have the best journey. And actually, as you know, like in the Nafs transformation, many of you are my students that listen to this, as you know, the Nafs transformation, the certification, everything we talk about, that when we talk about the science of the Nafs, like, whatever program, you're taking, like, we're talking about tooling up to have the best life, and not to delay having that life for another day, because the future has not yet come to pass. Like, what is present is today. Today is the day we make this all happen. Today is when you have to get going. Today's the day that you actually tool up, you master your skills. Today's the day that you do it imperfectly. You have a messy day, like, but you clear up that mess, and each day goes by and your days get less messier, and before you know it, like, you are creating the life that you want. And there is no future until you've actually decided on all of this. Like, and fear that holds us back is because we indulge in being stuck. We indulge in, all of the emotions that actually prevent us from the life that we want. Like, you have to step into your life, and belief will drive you all the way there. And instead of indulging in your fear, you want to indulge in your belief. That will create the life that you want. You're going to love this. Like, love the journey, and step into it. And on that note, I'm going to leave you there. Jazakumullah khair.
Hey, if you're ready to actually take the steps to transform your life, I want to invite you to join me on the Nafs Life Transformation Coaching Program, where I help you to take the steps to making the transformation of your mind, your relationships, and your life. Just go over to themuslimlifecoach.org/live. That's muslimlifecoach.org/live.